Welcome to the Haunted Hour, where your nightmares feel right at home. Before starting the video, make sure to like, subscribe. Also, can you please tell me from where and what time you are watching? Thanks. The scariest McDonald's to ever exist. My terrifying experience. Have you ever felt like someone or something was watching you? I did that night. And what happened next still haunts me. It wasn't some abandoned house or a dark forest. It was just a regular McDonald's. Or so I thought. It was the night before New Year's Eve, December 30th, 2022. I was driving home late after meeting some friends in Willowbrook, Illinois. The roads were nearly empty, and this strange fog had rolled in, making everything feel off. I hadn't eaten since lunch, so when I saw the glowing McDonald's arches piercing through the fog on Old Mill Road, I figured a quick stop wouldn't hurt. It wasn't my usual McDonald's, but hunger made the decision for me. The parking lot was practically empty except for one old rusted Buick parked in the far corner. Its windshield was cracked, and the license plate was barely legible under the grime. Inside, the McDonald's felt wrong. No music, no chatter, just the faint hum of the fluorescent lights flickering above. A pale cashier named Dennis, his name tag was slightly crooked, stood behind the counter. No greeting, just staring. His uniform looked slightly discolored, like it had been stained but hastily cleaned. I ordered a burger and fries. When he handed me the receipt, his hand felt ice cold, too cold. I shrugged it off and sat at a corner table, facing the play area. That's when I noticed it. The entire play area was dark. The ball pit was roped off with a sign, closed for maintenance. But there was movement, a shadow, shifting behind the slide. At first I thought it was a trick of the dim light. Then I heard it, a soft noise echoing from the play area. Tap, 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 like tiny footsteps, bare feet on plastic. I glanced back at the cashier. He was gone. The entire counter was empty. Even the kitchen lights had dimmed. My stomach twisted, but I tried to play it cool. Then, out of nowhere, a Happy Meal box slid off the counter. I jolted upright. The box just lay there. But the weirdest part? It wasn't the normal red box. It was faded, almost dirty, like it had been left out for years. Suddenly, a low creaking sound echoed from the play area. I turned back. The shadow was gone. Nope. That was it. I was done. I grabbed my keys, heart pounding. But as I turned for the door, the play area lights blinked on, and there, standing in the middle of the ball pit, was a figure. A child, except not quite. Its face was pale, eyes completely black, and its smile way too wide. It tilted its head slowly and whispered, "Don't leave. Play with me." Suddenly, the balls in the pit began shifting, like something was moving beneath them, a shape, twisting and writhing beneath the surface. The lights flickered, and the figure was closer now, inches from the glass. It knocked, once, twice. Then the glass cracked. I sprinted for the exit, but the doors wouldn't budge, locked. Behind me, the sound of plastic balls shifting, heavy breathing, closer. I banged on the glass, screaming, but no sound left my throat. The fog outside was so thick I could barely see my car anymore. Then, the lights died completely, pitch black. A whisper right behind me. "You can't leave." I turned, but there was nothing there, just darkness. And then, a sudden piercing shriek filled the room. The lights flickered back on, just for a second. The figure was inches from my face, its black eyes staring directly into mine. I collapsed back, scrambling to the floor. And then, as suddenly as it began, silence. The doors clicked open. When I made it outside, the fog was thicker than ever. My car wouldn't start. Heart pounding, I sprinted down the foggy street, the glow of the McDonald's fading behind me. But here's the part I can't shake. When I looked back at the building, it was dark, completely abandoned. The golden arches, rusted, and that faded Happy Meal box, still sitting there, untouched. The next day I drove back in daylight, hoping it was just some strange dream. But there was nothing there. The whole building had been condemned for years. The police told me something chilling. The McDonald's had been shut down after a tragic incident. A young boy named Matthew went missing in the play area back in 2015. Never found. I still don't know what I saw that night, but every New Year's Eve since, I avoid McDonald's altogether. You never know what might be waiting behind the counter. Story 2, the McDonald's secret message. It was supposed to be a quick stop for dinner, but that night, something happened at McDonald's on February 14th, 2023 that I can never forget, and it started with a single message scrawled on my receipt. It was a freezing Saturday night in Chicago, and I was heading home from a late shift at work. The roads were covered in slush, and the wind cut through every layer I wore. I decided to stop by the 24-hour McDonald's on West Cermak Road. Figured I'd grab a quick bite and head home. The place was nearly empty. Just a lone teenager at the counter, a man sitting by the window hunched over his fries, and the sound of the fryer crackling from the back. I ordered a simple meal, Big Mac, fries, and a Coke. But when I grabbed my receipt, that's when I noticed it. Leave now. I thought it was some weird joke, maybe a disgruntled employee messing around, but there was no mistaking the rushed, uneven handwriting, like it had been scribbled in panic. Trying to shake it off, I sat in the corner booth, far from the windows, but something felt off. The lights above me flickered faintly, just enough to notice. And the man at the window? He wasn't eating, just staring out into the parking lot, unmoving. I tried to eat, but the unease was building. Then as I unwrapped my burger, I noticed something else. The sandwich was cold, ice cold, like it had been sitting for hours, not minutes. I decided to leave, but as I grabbed my coat, the teenager at the counter whispered,
"Don't turn around."
My heart nearly stopped. Don't turn around? I spun anyway. There was no one behind me. The man at the window? Gone. Just his half-eaten fries left behind, stone cold like my food. I rushed to the exit, but the automatic doors wouldn't budge. Locked. Panic set in. I knocked on the glass, but the street outside was empty. Then behind me, the fryer suddenly stopped crackling. Silence. I turned back toward the counter, and the teenager, he was gone too. The kitchen was dark, the fryer off, grease congealed in the baskets. It was like no one had cooked anything for hours. And then, the sound of heavy footsteps, slow and deliberate, coming from the back storage area. A figure emerged, not a person. It was dressed in the old 1980s McDonald's mascot costume, grimy, worn, and reeking of something rotten. But the eyes, they weren't plastic. They blinked. It held something in its gloved hand, my receipt, the one with the message. But scrawled under it now, with fresh red ink, "You were warned." Suddenly, the lights cut out completely. I could hear heavy breathing right behind me. I ran, slamming into chairs, tripping, until my shoulder hit the emergency exit door hard enough to break through. When I stumbled into the cold night air, gasping, the McDonald's was dark, closed, boarded up. A faded sign read, "Permanently closed since 2017. I reported what I saw, but the local authorities just said the building had been shut down after a break-in that resulted in an unexplained death. No one could explain how I got food from a closed restaurant. No receipts, no proof, nothing. But I still have the scars on my shoulder. And sometimes when I drive past that lot, I swear I see a figure at the window, watching. Some places remember, and some warnings come too late.